See, those Deva Vimana, they were not able to. They said, no, we can't see anything. So they said, okay. You see, these people had brought garlands of all kinds. So he said, all right, take one of those white jasmine garlands and sit down and reflect on which Deva Loka you want me to go. So they said the highest Deva Loka among the Devas is the Tushita. So they thought of Tushita and they said, all right, then you throw this garland saying, let it go and hit the craft coming from the Tushita. And they did that, the son, eldest son. And he was also a very spiritually developed person. Right there people could see they have the garland hanging from the wheel of that particular craft. As the craft was hovering, right there it went stuck there. So when they saw this in the open air, such a huge garland was stuck and hanging, that was a positive proof of something very supernatural, something very supernormal and very sublime indeed. So they were all transported into a state of piti, great joy and rapture seeing that. They saw, well, these divine beings are right there. So now that tremendous experience, spiritual experience, uplifted their mind into a different plane altogether of existence. So right then, at that very poignant moment, you see, the Upasaka passed away. And then he was born. As he woke up, he was born in Tushita Loka. As he woke up, he found himself surrounded by large number of divine beings and in a divine mansion, huge and absolutely glittering and indescribable in beauty. And he said, how have I come to be here? And then you see, in that plane of existence, it is like we see when you have a governor of a particular state, he has a mansion, he has a palace. So he is the head of that. Now he was born into one of those as a head of a particular state of that Tushita realm. And he said, oh, all this splendor, how did I get? Then he exercised his supernormal powers as a Deva. And he knew everything what has occurred, how he has got this tremendous divine splendor and majesty, all the glory of divine life and the happiness. And there he says, oh, it is all the Bhagavan Buddha's grace. I followed the path of Dhamma. Here and now, I rejoice here and now, as I always rejoiced when I was a human being. And so on. Now meanwhile, these bhikkhus had returned to Jetavana. Buddha knew every bit of the whole thing was quite clear right in front of him. He was seated in the dharmasala and he called the monks, he said, why have you returned? Knowing everything. Then they said, Bhagavan, this is what happened, we were reciting this sutta, so Satipatthana Sutta, and he was so focused on that sutta, he was absolutely exulting with rapture, and suddenly he burst into, you see, a kind of, he says, hold on please, hold on. So we thought, well, even a great Upasaka, a great saintly person like him has got probably, he is seeing his last moment and he is probably in a state of fear or whatever it is. So we didn't like to create further trouble by, this thing, so we just quietly walked away. He said, no, Bhagavan said, he didn't talk to you. He didn't ask you to stop. There are these Deva Vimanas there, the celestial crafts, and so he told them to wait because he was absorbed not only in hearing what you are reciting, but in experiencing. As he heard the sutta, he was exulting in a state as though he was practicing the sutta, what the sutta taught, that he was actually reliving that very, the reality of the sutta. He was living it. He was experiencing that state of samadhi. So then the Buddha, after explaining all that, he says, monks, he is now reborn in Tusita. And there the monks said, Bhagavan, please do tell us what happened. And there Buddha recounted, you see, this is how he lived. And he rejoiced when he was living. Day in and day out he rejoiced. Just as that other man, Chunda, day in and day out he suffered. He was in a state of depression and paranoia of the worst kind. And he lived a most devilish life and devilish suffering. And then he went to that land of suffering, the Niraya, this hellish state. And here you are the Upasaka, day and night. He was rejoicing as he was practicing a holy life and good life, as he was practicing the life of spirituality, meditation, charity, dana, sila, bhavana. And while practicing Dhamma in these three forms, practicing charity, great charities, and then sila, virtuous life conduct, and meditation, bhavana. So as he was practicing, he was delighting. He was, exulting in the sheer pleasure and happiness, born up leading the good life. Good life has its own reward. You don't need to ask or pray to some God or somebody, give me this, give me that. No. Live the whole noble life. Live the good life. And the joy of good life will be right there, you will experience here and there. That very moment you will exult. You see many people who are all the time happy, very cheerful, very friendly, and they are not bothered about what is going on around them. Why? Because of the clean mind they are developing, pure mind, and the insight and wisdom that dawns in a pure mind. So, karma here and hereafter. Now, how does the dynamics of, let us say, the action and its result? They were enjoying the good result then and there, and also, of course, thereafter also. How did this similarity between action and its consequence? Yatha karmam tatha phalam. As the actions are, so the fruits are. What's the principle that brings this about? Now here, it is something very profound. I will try to explain it as clearly as possible. Please be attentive, all of you mentally. Now, the karma works. The whole, when you commit an action, it's a commitment. So you have created a circle, a cycle. The whole, the principle of involved is that every action creates a reaction. And this, between action and reaction, it works like a cycle. So imagine a circle with 4 points. The first point at the top, then the then there is between the top and the bottom, there are two intermediate points. There are these 4 points. So for the purpose of understanding the principle, you see, a karma starts with, you see, intention, volition, the will to do something, will to say, will to think, the will or the volition that is involved, which simply means, in simple terms, intentional action. You intend to do something or say something or think. You see, that intention is like a bija, karma in the form of a seed. Now the seed comes in contact with ground and the other necessary things, and it sprouts. Now with the having intentionally committed something or performed something, you see, a process inside you, in the mind, in the consciousness, started, and it is like the bija now has become a sprout. Now from this the sprout undergoes various stages of development, and quite fast it becomes a seedling, then it becomes a plant, then it becomes a tree, and in various stages of the tree until it bears fruit of the same kind, and the same seed will appear from the tree, from that fruit. So now the whole story of a tree, if you can imagine. Now, that is exactly how the law of karma works, or the principle of karma works. Karma is not a theory. It is a law based upon very valid principles of working principles. So, you have intentionally done something. You have sprouted, you have created the bija in the form of a sprout. So now, it starts, it is said, samangi dhamma. Kamma, chetana samangi, kamma in the form of the stage of chetana, which means volition. Then kamma samangi, that volition is now, as it sprouts, it becomes a karmic energy, a karmic force, which resides in the mind. The mind is like a river. It's a carrier of all kinds of things. A river carries, let us say, big timbers, boats, human beings, all kinds of debris, even gold and silver, all kinds of wonderful things are flowing along with the river water. That is exactly what happens, what is the reality of the mind. The mind is a carrier of karmic forces that we have committed in the past. The particular karma which brought us into this life, we are, you see, that karma acted as a janaka karma, as a reproductive karma. Now human beings, as they are born, from that moment there is a tendency to reproduce, reproductivity. That is why all this world of sensuality and sexuality, what is all that? The urge to reproduce. The man wants to be the father. The woman wants to be the mother. What is all this? So this reproductivity, this urge for that, it is all in that karmic process. And it profoundly affects life. You become a mother and a father, bas, there you are caught. You have created a particular lifestyle, you have to go through all that. If you wisely design your lifestyle and work out, you manage your life in an ethical and moral and spiritual manner, then this very life becomes very productive of great wisdom and great virtue and goodness and power. If you do the other way, That is what the story of Chunda. You do it in the story, in the way that Upasaka Dhammika did, wonderful life. So now, after this karma has, as a karmic force, it works like as a asava. That is something that is fermenting within the mind, waiting to, you see, when a thing ferments in a vessel, there is a tendency to overflow. It comes out, it flows out, it oozes out. And from the mind, this karmic force now creates that kind of oozing tendency, asava, that oozes out. So every karmic force therefore gives birth to all kinds of results. If it is a bad karma, you get some bad result. If it's a good karma, you get some good result. So if the karma is now, a karma is done in three ways. Kayena, vacha, manasa, either bodily or verbally or mentally. So the results also, the consequences also will manifest that way. If you have bodily acted in a cruel manner, as in the case of Chunda, my goodness, he has gone in a realm where bodily suffering is unthinkable. So also the mental and all the other problems. So you see, whatever happiness and misery we undergo, they also have three forms. A physical manifestation, bodily, socially, in a family. You are born in a family. And the family is in a society. So individual and collective life, both. There is the bodily, the external aspect of that. Then there is the internal aspect. Then you say all your happiness, miseries are also associated with the way you communicate yourself, with your speech or with your writing or with your thinking. You affect the world. So between the action, which are, you see, action is committed in three ways, and the results also manifest in the three ways. And that is where the similarity comes in. That is the law of similarity. That is called the kamma sarikhata. Sarikha means sadisa, sadrisha, sameness, samanata. The samanata of karma and karma phala. So if we are really mindful that we don't want to undergo all the suffering that people undergo, better be mindful of your actions, of your conduct, which simply means better be mindful of what you say, mindful of what you do, and mindful of what you think. This is the profound, implication behind every action. May the grace of Bhagavan Buddha surround your life and give you the wisdom to have self-control and control over your action. May you all be happy. Sukhino bhavantu.